All right. So, hello everyone, and welcome to StrikeUP Connects Cooperative Education as a Resource for Small Businesses with Nicole Guenther from the University of Waterloo's Cooperative Education Program. My name is Heather Cannings, and I'm the lead for StrikeUP Canada. Thank you so much for joining us today. Just a quick note before we begin, this webinar will be recorded and copy will be sent to all registrants post-event. So feel free to rewatch or share it with your network. We will have a Q&A session after Nicole's presentation. So feel free to ask any of the questions you might have in the chat throughout the session, and we'll do our best to address as many as possible today. So the StrikeUP Connects webinars are a free platform that are offered throughout the year to continue to directly connect our women entrepreneurship community with online education webinars, tools, and business resources offered by our growth partners. You can catch any of our past webinars by heading to www.strikeup.ca/about/connects, and we will throw that in the chat. We know that a large majority of our StrikeUp audience run small businesses who could benefit from additional helping hands, innovative minds, and youthful energy. That's where utilizing and accessing the value of hiring students to grow your workforce and resources can help take your business to the next level. And that's why we've partnered with the University of Waterloo, the world's largest co-op education talent pipeline, to share the benefits and process of onboarding student talent. Now, let's introduce Nicole Guenther, a business development and industry strategist with the University of Waterloo, who works to help founders grow their small businesses with the help of Waterloo Co-op students. As a UW Co-op alumna, she understands the incredible value Co-op brings to students while allowing them to contribute to the organization's success. Nicole is passionate about helping organizations, especially those just starting out, thrive with the addition of co-op talent to their teams. And now with that, I will pass it over to Nicole to present cooperative education as a resource for small businesses.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Heather. That was such a lovely intro. I should have recorded that for a sad day. Well, welcome to your lunchtime webinar, Cooperative Education as a Resource for Small Businesses. First and foremost, thank you so much to Heather, Victoria, and StrikeUp for providing me with this opportunity to connect with you all. And thank you to everyone in attendance today who took time out of their busy days to tune in. Before we begin, I would first like to acknowledge that much of the work at the University of Waterloo takes place on the traditional territory of the neutral Anishinaabeg and Haudenosaunee peoples. Our main campus is situated on the Haldimand Tract, the land granted to the Six Nations that includes 6 miles on each side of the Grand River. Our active work towards reconciliation takes place across our campuses through research, learning, teaching, and community building, and is coordinated within the Office of Indigenous Relations. Heather gave me such a lovely intro that I'm going to really skip through this, but hello everyone. My name is Nicole Guenther. I use the pronoun she, her. I am an industry strategist. I just rebranded. I was a business development and industry strategist with the cooperative education team at the University of Waterloo. I've been here since 2017. I am a proud product of a co-op program at Waterloo. I studied environment and business, and that is enough about me. Let's carry on. All right, so what are we going to be chatting about today? Today, we are going to help you understand the basics of co-op recruitment, including what co-op is. You probably already know this, but let's start from the top. So what co-op is: attracting talent to your business, the process of hiring a student, funding opportunities that you might be eligible for, next steps, and finally, as Heather mentioned, we will wrap up with some Q&A. I'm happy to take any questions that you have. All right, so you likely all know this already, but let's start at the very beginning. What exactly is co-op? Co-op stands for
Thank you.
I think someone's accidentally not on mute there. My apologies. So co-op is an educational model that combines academic studies with relevant paid work experience. A Waterloo co-op student is going to be alternating between work terms and study terms. Typically, this is going to be 4 months of school followed by 4 months of work. The alternating sequence of school and work really creates a symbiotic cycle of learning. Education in the classroom strengthens contributions in the workplace, and work experience enhances the overall education. By the time graduation rolls around, Waterloo co-op students are going to be graduating with around 2 years of work experience. What this means is that they are ready to work and have the skills required to jump into industry quickly and make an impact in their workplace. Of course, this is always good to mention as well. All of our programs at the University of Waterloo are accredited by CWIL. CWIL is the national body that governs co-op and work integrated learning in Canada. So it's really probably not news to you that co-op is a huge part of what sets the University of Waterloo apart, and it's been in our DNA since the very beginning. So over the last 60 plus years, we have developed a co-op program that is deeply ingrained in the global community and is highly valued by over 8,000 employers worldwide. We like to highlight the worldwide because you can be anywhere in the world. I know StrikeUP, you're in Canada, but you could hire a student anywhere in the world. Not only are we #1 in Canada for hands-on experiential learning, Waterloo is also an international award winner for creating employer-student connections. No surprise, given the strong co-op emphasis at Waterloo. We are also home to the Work Learn Institute, which I will talk about in more detail throughout our presentation today. So the Work Learn Institute is uniquely dedicated to researching talent development through quality work integrated learning programs. And finally, we have regionally based teams across Canada. So what they do is they provide our co-op employers with local talent expertise and really feet on the ground support across the country. So in a nutshell, I'll get into this in a bit more detail, but talking about the co-op program itself, the majority of the co-op students at Waterloo will be working 4-month work terms. Each student typically has 2 subsequent work terms in their actual sequence for their program. So what that means is that there are students available to work for 8 months, but the majority are going to be 4-month terms. So each one of those 4-month terms needs to be between 12 to 16 weeks in length in order to qualify for co-op credit, and it does have to be at a full-time capacity. So it does not work typically for part-time hours. Work terms are going to begin in January, May, and September in alignment with our academic terms, and recruitment is typically going to begin 4 months in advance. We also have students that are available to work at varying levels of experience. So this is going to range right from first-year students up to graduate level students. So how co-op students can enhance small businesses. I love talking about this. So co-op students can bring real value to small businesses from day one. Co-op students bring bottom-up innovation into the businesses that they work at. This practice, you've probably heard of it, known for contributing to Google's success, offers businesses a fresh perspective and helps them to remain competitive. Co-op students can assist in meeting timely, temporary, or one-time needs within a business. Hiring students is an effective way to adapt your hiring practices based on your business's evolving needs exactly when you need it. One thing I like to mention here as well is you don't need to be an engineering firm to hire an engineering student. You could be a small business that needs to hire an engineering student at one particular time, and then you might never hire an engineering student ever again. Next, co-op students have shared with us that the value their co-op students bring to their companies far outweigh the investment. So a recent survey completed by Deloitte that went out to our co-op employers reported a return of $2 on average in value for every $1 invested in our co-op talent. And when you stack funding and tax rebates on top of this, it makes the ROI, even more attractive. And of course, co-op students are going to help lighten your workload. They're bringing an extra pair of hands to the team, and in some cases, like mentioned with the engineering firm example, a new skill set to the team. And then co-op students also become a part of your talent pipeline. This is great for attracting new talent to your business and really your industry. So it's going to support, hiring co-op is going to support your longer term talent acquisition strategies. It is a very common practice that our co-op students, once they graduate, they reach out to their employers and they're often snatched up right away and they're working full time for the companies that hire them during their co-op, which is pretty neat. And that's exactly what happened to me. So how Waterloo as an institution, how our co-op program has been structured in a way that, innately just really works for small businesses. The first piece is going to be connection to funding. So we support our co-op employers by maintaining relationships with key funding partners to understand their processes and their availability of funding. We then disseminate this information with our employers, and we can actually point you in the direction to different funding opportunities for your small business. We also offer a one-stop shop hiring hub. So we call this Waterloo Works. Think Indeed or another job posting platform that you might be familiar with, but this is Waterloo centric, designed by Waterloo and just for co-op jobs. It is completely free to utilize as an employer, and you can then access all of your Waterloo co-op talent in one place. We offer an integrated service team. So all of our employers receive a dedicated service team, which we will discuss in a little bit more detail further on. We have a very wide range of talent. So with over 120 different co-op programs to recruit from, that actually equals almost 10,000 co-op placements a term. So we're almost sitting at 30,000 co-op placements per year. So there is always talent available in tons of different areas and skill sets. And then lastly here, we have flexibility. So we have integrated many flexible options into how co-op terms are managed and delivered in order to help with the ever-changing needs of small businesses. So I can highlight a few of those. The first being office space and physical location. So students can work hybrid, remote, or in person. And as mentioned before, they can work anywhere in the world. And due to the remote offering, you don't have to have office space for the student to work out of. Hybrid is also really nice for small businesses, especially when you think of, I was actually chatting with a founder in Stratford, so just up the road from Waterloo, and they are full-time team of 3, and they will hire a co-op student as needed when they have different projects that they need help with within their business, and that student works remotely, but then they will often come on site to different job sites, and that is how hybrid works well for their small business. And they've had student work on, a job site if they're part of a team working on the project. Maybe they're bringing some technical abilities to the team, or they might just be coming on the job site to take photos, to build up a digital asset library, something like that. So very flexible in terms of location. Equipment. So you can actually put right in your job posting when you hire a co-op student that the student is responsible for bringing their own computer or laptop. So you do not have to provide this equipment upfront for the student. So that's another cost saving, I guess, component I like to highlight for small business founders. And then also we will dive into this a little bit deeper later on, but there are multiple job boards available where you can post your jobs. So you can just kind of decide based on the parameters of each job board, which is best suited for you, your business, and your posting. Okay, so as mentioned, we have over 120 co-op programs across our 6 faculties. You can see them here on the screen. We have arts, engineering, environment, health, math, and science. So with such a wide range of co-op programs and skill sets, you can tap into talent to fill so many different needs within your small business. And again, nearly 30,000 co-op placements a year. So there's always great talent looking for work. And on this slide, I am sharing real co-op job postings that were listed in the winter 2024 term. So this is what did we have? 24 jobs here, I believe. So these are 24 of thousands. So just know that there's a lot more different jobs that were out there, but I wanted to provide a few examples of real jobs that companies were hiring our students for this year. And before moving on, something we haven't touched on yet is feedback received from students who work in small businesses. I didn't share this, but I used to be a student advisor for many years before kind of shifting into this role. And something that I heard a lot from students was that they loved the opportunities that they got to work in small businesses. And the reason behind that was that they really got to be involved in a lot of different projects, and they also really got to see the impact and the value of their work, right? When you're a team of, one of 5 and you're a co-op student, you're going to make an impact and you're going to have, there's a tremendous amount of value when you see the work that you're doing changing the business that you're working for. All right, so next we will move into some recruitment insights. In a competitive job market, it's so important to stand out to make sure that you are attracting the right talent to your business. At Waterloo, we help our employers do this by leveraging our vast amount of co-op data, we have a lot of it, to provide research-backed insights and information to inform your recruitment process. So in the upcoming slides, I'm going to introduce our Future Ready Talent Framework. I'm going to explain our data-driven approach to enhancing your job postings, and I will share how we bolster our students' soft skills through our suite of professional development courses. So as we know, even outside of the co-op lens, we've seen a shift in recruiting where skills-based hiring is largely becoming the new gold standard, which brings us here to our Future Ready Talent Framework, or FRTF, which I will use to not completely tongue-tie myself. So in response to this shift, our Work Learn Institute, responsible for analyzing, understanding, and reporting on our co-op data, looked at what skills were required in order to make our talent ready for the future of work. That resulted in the FRTF. The FRTF has 4 core competencies: expanding expertise, developing self, building relationships, and designing and delivering solutions. We integrate this framework into our co-op curriculum in order to ensure they are building relevant skills outside of the classroom in order to be prepared for the future of work. Why does this matter to you as a potential co-op employer? This framework supports employers by ensuring that they are intentionally building a workforce that is prepared, again, for the future of work. Our second recruitment insight speaks to job description essentials, which we will first chat about, at a very surface level, and then I'll dive into some research on this. So the 6 criteria here are the essential components to every co-op job posting. The first being job title. So you really want to make this descriptive and avoid calling it, intern, assistant, co-op student. Co-op students are going to leverage this experience, this great experience they've had working in your small business, and that includes a job title that they're going to use on their CV for future job opportunities. So it's a really great opportunity to really capture the role and the skill sets all in a title. Location, again, be clear with this in your job description because students can work anywhere and they can work in a variety of capacities, remote, hybrid, or in person. So just be sure to include that in your job description. Job summary, it is also important to include what it is like to work for your organization, which includes company culture. And I'm going to dive into that more. Job responsibilities and skills. So really stick to the core tasks, kind of the meat and potatoes of the job and what is actually required. And then compensation as well, especially in Ontario. Due to the Pay Transparency Act, you're going to want to make sure that compensation information is included in your job description. And if you're curious to learn a little bit more about writing or how to write strong job descriptions, we welcome you to attend one of our monthly job description webinars. So the next one will be held on July 18th at 12 p.m. So there is a link at the end of the slide deck, which will be shared with you by the wonderful StrikeUP team in the coming days. So feel free to use that link to register if you are interested. Okay, so now diving a little bit deeper into job descriptions, our Work Learn Institute completed an analysis to determine what factors make companies stand out in a competitive recruitment landscape. To do this, we analyzed more than 37,000 co-op job descriptions over a 3-year period. And what we really wanted to see is if there were any common trends amongst the jobs that received the highest number of applications. So we're putting this data to good work. So from this analysis, we were able to identify 6 key elements that, when included in the job description, resulted in a higher number of applications. So company culture, employer values, and food and games, these are really all interlinked. And really, they speak to Gen Z's desire to build strong connections at work and to work at an organization whose, values are really in alignment with their own. And I'll provide a few examples of jobs that did, or job postings that did this in the next slide. Programming languages. If you're familiar with Waterloo, you know that we have a lot of students studying in STEM topics. So given, the sheer number of computer science and engineering students, it's no wonder that, programming languages came up, and there's a lot of jobs, or a lot of students applying to jobs that discuss programming languages in their job descriptions. Compensation. So what we'd like to share here is that jobs with a higher amount of compensation didn't necessarily result in a higher number of applications. Jobs that simply included information about compensation resulted in a higher number of applications, regardless of what that compensation amount actually was. And then last, we have career development. Opportunities for career development and including that in the job description is a really great, I guess, carrot on a stick. Students really want to go back and have opportunities, long-term opportunities, if there are some at their co-op employers. Okay, and as promised, here are some examples on job descriptions that did a really good job at highlighting their company culture. So here are two examples, real postings. Job A here, they talk about a collaborative and inclusive culture, having work-life balance. Job B at the bottom here highlights people, being part of a diverse community, fostering innovation, collaboration, creativity. And even though they both did a great job, the second one still had double the amount of applications compared to the first. Oh, sorry. All right, so our final insight here is our professional development courses. So Waterloo understood very early on that students require more than just technical skills in order to be successful in the workplace. As a result, we developed the largest suite of professional development courses at any higher ed institution in Canada. And we did this to ensure that we are, really bridging the gaps between industry and our curriculum. And it's really part of the secret sauce about what makes our co-op program the top in the nation. So in today's work environment, soft skills are just as important as technical skills and are going to be crucial for success in any industry. Our professional development courses enhance students' professional skills beyond their academic knowledge, which of course is going to benefit the student, but is also going to benefit the employers that are hiring our students. So how does this work? Students are required to participate in 4 to 5 professional development courses in order to get their degree. So this is typically going to look like two mandatory professional development courses that are specific to their faculty, and then students get to choose between a suite of 15 different elective professional development courses to complement their skill set. These courses contribute to students' productivity and readiness to join the workforce by allowing them to develop critical skills that employers deem most valuable, such as self-awareness, initiative, and adaptability. Some courses are a little bit more general in nature, such as reflecting and learning in the workplace, teamwork, communication, project management, but there's also some of those faculty-specific professional development courses, such as the technical reporting course, and this is offered to math and science students. And to kind of round out the support that we provide to our students, we also, in the co-op department, we have the Center for Career Development. And what the Center for Career Development does is they offer workshops, written resources, and one-on-one appointments for students. So students can go there and they can get mock interviews, they can have their resume critiqued, they can have assistance writing a cover letter. So it's a really great resource for students. And really the goal of offering this support and service is to further professional skill development for our students. All right, so how do you actually hire a student from Waterloo? We've broken it down into 5 key steps to get started. All right, so first, what are the actual co-op term requirements? So in order to be a co-op employer, there are a few standard requirements that all of our employers must meet. The first is going to be the length, again, 12 to 16 weeks in length at full-time hours. Students need to be paid at least minimum wage, with compensation varying depending on the program that you're targeting, the work term level that you're targeting, and the role itself. Payroll should include students as a full-time staff member, and any sort of deductions that apply to your other full-time staff, if you have any, they also need to, co-op students need to be in alignment with those deductions. So just like any other full-time staff member, and the supervisor should ideally also play a mentorship role for the student. All right, so registering and posting a job. So Waterloo Works is our proven recruitment system. You can post your job postings on Waterloo Works for free, accessing all of our talent through one central system. So we provide 2 different job boards in order to maximize flexibility for our co-op employers. This is something that you could chat about with your service team when you register for a Waterloo Works account, when you're ready to get started, just to ensure that you're picking the right job board for your role. So to provide a very high level overview of the 2 job boards, the first is going to be our full cycle service board. So this is kind of our standard offering that we've offered for a really long time. It is a one-stop shop. It's going to collect applications, schedule interviews, and you're going to utilize our rank match system to select candidates. You will also get your dedicated support every step of the way with this board. And it also ensures that student availability lines up so that the co-op term from the program that you are targeting lines up with when you want to hire. The second board is our employer student direct board. This is a new offering. It is driven entirely by the employers, and it's really more for jobs that don't fit our typical hiring cycles. So with this option, you could hire, say you want to start recruiting 8 months in advance instead of 4. Well, you could do this using the employer student direct board. So once you've picked your job board and posted your job, students will also log into Waterloo Works. They will review all the different jobs that have been posted, and they will submit their application directly in Waterloo Works. Their applications are typically going to consist of a cover letter, a resume, and a transcript. If there is additional documents that you'd like to see, so say you are an architecture firm and you are looking to hire one of our architecture students, you might require a portfolio. And you could put that in your job posting, and then the expectation would be that the student is also providing that. Typically, it would be a link, or perhaps they're even uploading their PDF as part of their application documents. And when you are posting a job, you can also indicate the most applicable program and level of study for your role. And if you're unsure where to start on that, not to worry, your service team will be able to walk through that with you. And if a traditional co-op term isn't really the right fit for you at this time, you could also use Waterloo Works to post a different type of job. So we do offer different job boards for contract, part-time, volunteer, and new grad roles. So the one important point here to make is that alumni can also see these jobs. So if you're looking to hire a new grad, this is a great spot to post a job if you're looking to target Waterloo grads specifically. All right, so now students have applied to your job posting. You will log back into Waterloo Works. You can see all of your applications. You can review them all within our platform and select the students that you're interested in interviewing. So interviews can be conducted remote or in person. We do have a beautiful, it's in my virtual background here. The Tatum Center is our co-op building. Tons of space available. If you would like to have an in-person interview on campus, you can absolutely do so, and your service team can help you set that up. You're also welcome to have your interviews remotely, and I would say coming out of the pandemic, most of our employers do have remote interviews. It's just a little bit easier. If you opt for remote interviews, Waterloo Works has an integrated webcam system for your use. So you don't need to worry about setting up individual Zoom or Teams calls. You are welcome to do that if you'd like, however. And then fast forwarding to the interview itself, we recommend that you prepare questions that will allow students to provide concrete examples and mixing, technical, situational, and behavioral questions to really get to know the student. And we also encourage our students to not our students, our employers, to consider how you are framing your questions. So for example, if you select a first-year student to interview, they potentially have never had a job before. So you could really kind of massage the questions that you're asking just a little bit to broaden up the scope of examples that they could provide you with. So an example of that is, can you tell me about a time you had a conflict with a coworker or a peer in a group project and how this was resolved? If you didn't put in or a group project, the student might go, oh, I've never had a coworker, this doesn't apply to me. By simply adding in or a peer in a group project, this can help the student identify a much stronger example. All right, so moving on to the rank and hire process. So Waterloo has a system in place to ensure that both students and employers get the best possible employment outcomes. And this system is based on a rank and match process. As an employer, you will need to rank the students that you are most interested in hiring after you interview. And then you can also rank any additional students that might be a good fit for your job. At the same time, students in Waterloo Works will be providing a ranking for all of the jobs that they were selected and interviewed for. An algorithm then runs in the background to match students and employers that have indicated the highest mutual interest in one another. And the reason why we do this is that it helps to ensure that students are satisfied with their jobs and employers have a committed and interested student for the role. Once the match is complete and your offer has been accepted by the student, you can reach out to them to confirm all of the standard, employment details, the official start and end date, hours, dress code, that sort of thing. And as mentioned a couple slides ago, we also have that new job board called the Employer Student Direct Board. If you're not interested in doing the rank and match process, you could post your job on the Employer Student Direct Board, and then you wouldn't have to go through this process. Okay, so finally here, onboarding and the work term itself. So before the student joins your organization, we would really strongly recommend that you develop an in-depth training and onboarding plan. And when the student actually begins, take the time to sit down with them in week 1 to have a goal-setting conversation. Learn what their professional and perhaps personal goals and skills are and what they want to really work on and develop throughout their time working in your small business. And then moving forward, schedule regular meetings for feedback. This could be, bi-weekly or weekly one-on-ones. It's also a really good practice to hold a midterm, like a midterm review with the student. So you can have a transparent conversation about what is going well and where there's room for improvement. And you can kind of rewind back to week 1, revisit those goals that the student shared with you, and make a plan for the rest of the co-op term. And then when the work term ends, 16 weeks later, all employers will submit a final performance evaluation for their co-op students. The focus in this evaluation is going to be on transferable skills. And as an employer, you will also be able to see what your students have been ranked in their previous work terms. So that is our process in a nutshell. Moving on, we understand that the recruitment process can be overwhelming, especially if you're going through it for the first time, but we are here to support you every step of the way. So I'm hopeful that this has become evident throughout our time together today, but to really nail it home, Waterloo offers more than just top co-op talent. As mentioned, we are home to the Work Learn Institute. We are so proud of this. Our research institute dedicated to exploring work integrated learning and the next generation of talent. You get to access research-backed resources to help you successfully attract, recruit, and retain top talent. Secondly, we have a proven and robust process. We have been participating in the cooperative education learning model for over 60 years. We have consistently reviewed and improved our process. There's a reason why we are a leader in this space and why we are capable of getting the right talent connected with the right roles. So by hiring co-op talent at Waterloo, you are leveraging a well-established and effective process that has been refined over many, many years. And then the final pillar here is our dedicated service team. This sets Waterloo apart and makes sure that should you need it, you have help available every step of the way. This is the most exciting information for founders. So there are several funding opportunities available for businesses looking to hire co-op students. Our most popular program, you might have heard of it, is the Student Work Placement Program, or SWIP for short. So this is a federal funding program that can provide between 50 to 70% of wage subsidies to hire a co-op student. So it doesn't apply to international students, unfortunately, as it is the Canadian federal government funding program. But for Canadian citizens, permanent residents, or students falling under the Refugee Protection Act, this funding would apply to them. The one thing to note here is that funding is paid as a lump sum at the end of the term. So you must be able to pay the student's salary for the duration of the term. And when I spoke a little bit earlier about Waterloo building relationships with different funding partners, this was exactly the funding program that I was speaking to. So our team can help get you connected with the different SWIP funding sources and point you in the direction for which funding source fits your business most appropriately. Second here is the MyTax Business Strategy Internship. So this is designed to fund projects related to innovation, such as process or project-related innovations. MyTax can provide up to 50% of the student's salary, and the co-op program has developed a streamlined application process with MyTax in order to make it easier for you as the employer. Lastly here, for those that are located in Ontario, you can also take advantage of the Ontario Co-op Tax Credit. So this is going to provide a 25 to 30% rebate on the student's salary. This can be accessed in addition to SWIP funding. So if you were to receive 50% in SWIP funding, you can receive an additional 25 to 30% rebate on the remaining 50% of the student's salary that you paid. I also want to take the opportunity while we're talking about funding to share that we offer a funding webinar as well. Just like the job description, it happens on a monthly basis. So if you'd like to learn more about our SWIFT delivery partners and the different funding that's available, I would encourage you to sign up for one of these webinars. Again, there'll be a link shared in the slide deck, and the next webinar is on August 1st at 12 p.m. Okay, and diving a little bit more into your service team that I have chatted about so much. So you will be assisted by a dedicated service team with expertise in talent recruitment in your area. So this is a big reason why our teams are based kind of across Canada. They become experts on information relevant to your specific location, such as provincial tax rebates, because every province is going to have different information depending where you're located. Also, if you're looking to connect in person, this is a great option. You could see if they're available and close enough to where you are to meet in person. So the service team consists of 4 key folks. First, you're going to have the business developer. They are your onboarding specialists. They are going to help you navigate the process of your very first hire. Longer term, you're going to be supported by the 2 middle buckets here, the account manager and the account coordinator. They are going to assist you in your talent strategy, scheduling interviews, and really they'll help manage any issues that might arise. And then the 4th bucket there is the student advisor. So supervisors and students will work with the student advisor, and basically they will just help navigate the process if you need to. They're basically your HR. So if anything comes up that you kind of want to talk about, you can reach out to the student advisor, and they'd be happy to facilitate a conversation between yourself as the employer and the student. This is a really great, I would say, bonus ad for small businesses, because we know as founders, you wear many different hats, HR being one of those hats. So with the service team, we kind of help take some of that onus off of you, and this basically acts as your HR for your co-op student or students. Okay, so upcoming recruitment dates. We are currently recruiting for the upcoming fall term that begins in September. And then we will be moving into the winter term. So beginning in September is when we will start recruiting for the upcoming winter term. But with 3 work terms available every year, there are always students that are available to hire. So whether you need someone in the summer, fall, or winter, there is talent that is ready to be hired. And believe it or not, this brings us to the end of our presentation today. Thank you so much for your time and attention. In terms of next steps, if you are ready to hire, feel free to shoot me an email. If you'd like to be booked right in with your onboarding specialist, that business developer, I could book you in to meet with them. You can also just skip that and you could go right to registering for a Waterloo Works account. And then one of our service team members will follow up with you directly to support you. If you're looking to learn more, again, you can register for one of those free webinars on job descriptions or funding, or you can visit our website. There's an abundance of information there, but just to highlight a few, funding is all shared there. There's more information about our programs, our student skill sets, recruitment dates, lots and lots of great info in there. And if you're just looking for something that you can't find on the website, you're also welcome to email me and I will point you in the right direction. So thank you again. It has been a pleasure spending this time with you all. And now I would love to open it up for Q&A if any questions have come in.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nicole. So much information, but like wonderful, wonderful information. Very much appreciate it. We did have a couple questions come up. We had one question from Geeta. She said, what would the minimum hours requirement be per week for either part-time or full-time?
So typically, let me pull that up here right now. So we're looking for length. It's going to be between 12 to 16 weeks. I want to say 280 hours on the top of my head. Yes, it is. So it's going to be at least 280 hours over the 12 to 16 weeks.
So does that work out to be generally full-time hours?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So it will be full-time hours. Typically the part-time jobs would not work, unfortunately.
Okay, perfect. Good to know. She also asked, do we get support from professors if needed, as well as facilities? Examples would be lab, tools, etc., from the Waterloo, University of Waterloo.
Typically not. This would not be kind of the co-op arrangements. If you're looking to connect with faculty, if you're looking to utilize some of the facilities at Waterloo, this would typically be outside of the co-op program. Typically, the different labs and facilities on campus, they're either really tightly related to research and they're only kind of utilized for that purpose, or they're utilized for coursework. So there isn't really kind of that free space where students could work on different things on their co-op terms. So unfortunately, that wouldn't be really a great fit for co-op, but maybe there's something outside of co-op. If you're looking to get connected, you're welcome to reach out to me and I can try to get you looped in with the correct people on campus.
Perfect. So we had another question from Angelique. So for limited term, so say something like 55 to 60 hour placements and one-time learning experiences like hackathons, would there be space to advertise to students?
This would be a great thing, perhaps under our volunteer or part-time job boards, one of those other job boards on Waterloo Works, where, you know, it's not quite a co-op opportunity, but it could be, yeah, volunteer, part-time, contract. The other job boards on Waterloo Works, great fit for that.
Perfect. We had another question here. Is it too late to get funding for fall 2024 placements?
It's not. I actually just had a call with Food Processing Skills Canada yesterday. That is a SWIP delivery partner, and it's not even too late for the summer term. So if you had happened to hire for the summer term and you fell under their eligibility requirements, now you couldn't hire a co-op student if you haven't already, but say you hired a co-op student, you're like, oh, that fits. I fit under the FPSC, the Food Processing Skills Canada requirements. You could apply for retroactive funding. A lot of our SWIP delivery partners, they open up their funding applications 2 months in advance of a term. So now is a great time. If you're looking for the fall term, you can apply for that funding right now. They just opened up like last week.
Perfect. That's fantastic. So one other question, can we get volunteers help? So I know you had mentioned you've got that in part of the portal, you can post volunteer positions. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, any volunteer opportunities for students, you are more than welcome. We would love to have you share that on our volunteer job board. However, those wouldn't apply for co-op credit. So this could be, we do have some programs, well, we're overwhelmingly co-op like oriented in most of our programs. We do have some programs that are not co-op, and those are the students that would often be looking for some of that volunteer experience because they have a little bit more time, right? They might have those summer terms off, unlike our co-op students that are pretty much always studying or working. So that would be a great opportunity for students that aren't enrolled in co-op programs.
Perfect. So one other question here, in terms of government funding, does a startup need to get the process started or approved with the government before hiring a co-op student, or can we do this at the same time as hiring?
Yeah, so all of our funding partners, they're all a little bit different. So this is why we also try to have those open lines of communication and build those relationships so that we can help advise. Most of them, so what we do is we will get you directly to the application, but we can't fill out that application for you. But what most of our delivery partners have done, because we have shared this feedback that for so many startups and small businesses, hiring is not an option without this funding. You can apply to the funding delivering partners, the SWIP funding delivery partners, and then once you're approved, then you can hire a student. So if you don't get approved, then say your business type just falls a little bit outside of their parameters, for instance, you don't get approved. That's okay. You're not on the hook for a student salary. You haven't hired a student. And then when you get approved, awesome. Then you can actually go into Waterloo Works, post a job and hire a student.
Okay, that makes sense. Um, we had another attendee here ask, do you know what the max funding a business can get is?
So it's going to be between 50 to 70% of the student's salary, which is going to be a max of $5,000 to $7,000. The $7,000 is typically if you are hiring a student that is coming from an underrepresented group. So every SWIP delivery partner, their parameters are a little bit different in this space. This is a great thing that our service team could help you with. We could help get you the information so you know, okay, is it the 50 or is it the 70 for me? Where do I qualify? So we could get you in touch with that delivery partner to get that information.
Perfect. I think that may be all the questions, but I had a couple for you.
Sure.
Are there typically some common misconceptions with small business owners when it comes to hiring co-op students, and how can those be addressed?
Yeah, I would say the biggest one would be that you have to have a certain skill set in order to hire a student with said skill set. So I tried to speak to that a little bit. So you don't have to be an engineer at an engineering firm to hire an engineering student with the technical skills that you need. The other would be location. Students often are attracted to co-op. One of the value adds for them is they get to live in different communities on their co-op terms, different cultures, perhaps even different countries for a lot of them. So please don't be discouraged if you think, oh, I'm in, Northern Ontario and it's very remote, or I'm out east, or I'm out west, I'm nowhere near Waterloo. That's okay. I would say this is a huge draw for a lot of students. And there's also the element of students love to sometimes go home for 4 months. They like to leave too. They like to come back after it's done, but they get an opportunity to go home for 4 months. And if you're, there's students from everywhere in Canada at Waterloo, and there's always going to be students attending Waterloo in co-op programs from your community.
Perfect. And then from kind of measuring success of what co-op looks like for both the student, the university, and the employer, are there certain metrics or indicators that you kind of try to track across the co-op placement? Is there certain reporting that needs to be completed at the end, anything like that?
Yeah, so with the end of term evaluations that our employers complete after a co-op term, That is a huge benchmark on the success of the co-op term. We want all of our students to be ranked outstanding because you have had an outstanding experience with our students and they've really made a positive impact on your small business. So that is something that we look at. Where are our students landing? And the other thing as well is how many of our employers are coming back, coming back and hiring another student and sharing. That's a great indicator and feedback that they had a great I guess experience with our talent, is that they want to bring more talent. And referrals, we're starting up a referral program actually, because we've had so many employers go out and share with their colleagues, within their network about our co-op program. So stay tuned on that, but we're hoping to build out a referral program because we get so many wonderful referrals from our co-op employers.
I love that. So we had another question from the chat here. Are there marketing or social media and communication students of any sort, like the business students?
Yes. So I would say our global business and digital arts students would be a great program to recruit from. They learn everything. They do some, UX, UI, they do web design, content creation. A lot of them, I used to be an advisor for this program, so I know it well. A lot of our students will go into digital marketing roles, content creation. They'll lead, social media for business. One of our GBDA grads, for anyone that's local to Waterloo region, if you know For All, the wonderful little ice cream shop in Uptown Waterloo, just hired one of our GBA grads just to do that. She's doing all of their social media and content creation. There's also we have a lot of and business programs at Waterloo, which is very unique. They're starting to catch up, but there weren't that many and business programs 10 years ago. And a lot of these students have really strong skill sets for marketing. They'll do oh my goodness, technical writing as well. So some of them will do the writing component for marketing. Some of them will do graphic design. Even our architecture students, actually, they are well versed in the Adobe suite, and they can do some great design work. And they're often interested in doing they do 6 co-op terms, one of their 6 co-op terms, doing some sort of graphic design and building up that skill set.
That's fantastic. So one other question here from Katrina. What if we hired a co-op student and they really didn't work out? Is there any recourse with Waterloo to navigate these types of situations?
Absolutely. So that's a big reason why you have the service team as well. If you have any issues, you have someone that you can connect with. And of course, the first step is they're going to try to remediate, make sure there's no miscommunication, language barriers, whatever it might be. So first they're going to kind of play that really neutral role and try to support the student and try to support the employer. But in order for a co-op student to get their degree, they have to get the required amount of co-op credits. And co-op credits come from their employers. When you fill out that end of term evaluation and you give them their ranking and their rating, that is essentially also their co-op credit. So if if you've done your best and try to remediate, and thankfully this doesn't come up often, but reached out to the student advisor, we've all tried to remediate any issue that could come up, that student isn't going to get their co-op credit, and they have to get those in order to get their degree. So it does put a lot of accountability on the student, and that is why we don't run into these issues very often, because of the way our system is set up.
Very good. And then kind of bouncing off that as well. So I know many small business owners may have never hired a student before. Is there any type of mentorship or information that's kind of provided by University of Waterloo of here are the best steps to kind of onboard that student and kind of give them some information about what has worked best in the past for employers for someone that may have never done it before?
Yeah, of course. So our website, we have a new employer resource guide. It'll take you through step by step. We have a full section of our website just jam-packed with resources just to support our new employers. And then you will also have your business developer, who is that first onboarding specialist. They will work with you throughout that first term. So you have that person who is really specialized in supporting new employers right there with you every step of the way. So we have all that information that is readily available, but then you also have that direct contact that can help walk you through any issues that might come up, or can even just connect you with the different resources that it's like, oh, where's that guide on the website again? You have too much information. They can get that to you quickly.
Oh, that feels like it would be such a calming concept to have for someone to have in their back pocket for someone that may be nervous about potentially jumping into something new like hiring co-op students.
Yeah, we try because there's a barrier initially, right? When you're trying to take in this information and learn and you want to show up the best you can and provide the best experience you can for the student. So we do our best to try to, bridge any of those gaps so that, yes, it is a little scary wading into unknown waters, but hopefully we've given you enough, water wings that everyone's staying afloat.
Perfect. Okay, looks like we have one more question from Mary here. She says, very informative, thank you. Can you tell us what the average monthly salary is for a student? And also, do contract students need to be added to payroll?
Yes, so students do need to be added to payroll, and any sort of like deductions with it, like tax deductions with any other full-time staff members on your team receive. The co-op students, they receive the exact same ones. They're a full-time employee for that amount of time. So typically what we're looking at is $10,000 being the benchmark salary for the 4 months. So about $2,500 would be, I guess, the monthly salary, and that would be before any funding is applied. So if we're thinking SWIP and you get $5,000 of that salary covered, then you will be responsible for the remaining $5,000 to be dispersed over those 4 months. And then you could also apply, again, if you're located in Ontario, for that tax rebate, for the 25 to 30% tax rebate for the $5,000 that you paid.
Perfect. And we'll just take one more question here. So what about non-disclosure agreements in case of students hiring?
Yes, that is common. That is very common. There's a lot of students that cannot talk very much about some of the projects that they worked on throughout their co-op term. So no issues there. We understand that that is, just how it works for a lot of projects. And that is totally fine if you need the student to sign an NDA on what they're working on.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, Nicole, for sharing your extensive knowledge and firsthand experience, especially as a co-op student alumni, and sharing how small businesses can make use of the incredible pool of Canadian post-secondary student talent. So if you have more specific questions about the University of Waterloo's program, please do not hesitate to connect with Nicole. We will share her contact information in our follow-up email. So if you want to learn more, if you want to continue to expand your knowledge with our next StrikeUP Connects webinar, we invite you to join us for the next one, which is Unlocking Government Resources with Corporations and Innovations Canada. To discover how easy it is to create a corporation under Canadian federal laws, you can explore interactive tools like the Business Benefits Finder and BizPal, which are designed to help Canadian business leaders save time and money by efficiently finding services, support, and tailored permit and license information. So that next webinar takes place on Tuesday, August 13th from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we will throw the link in the chat there to register, and it will also be in that follow-up email. So as a reminder, this presentation has been recorded. You'll receive an email tomorrow with a link to rewatch that presentation or share with your network. It'll also have some quick links to connect you with the University of Waterloo's co-op team, Nicole. It will also have a link to this slideshow presentation, which has those hyperlinks to the webinars that Nicole mentioned as well. So we just want to thank you so much, Nicole, for your information today, and as well for everyone who was able to attend today. And we look forward to welcoming you to our next StrikeUP Connects webinar in August. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you.